Hi. Hello. I'm so ready to do this show. Excited to be here. What's up, fam?
What's up, fam?
Brandon Walker. More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. Coming to you on Facebook Live this morning, like we do every single morning. Feeling good today. Feeling good. Busy weekend coming up. Busy day. This is my last day of the week. I get a nice off day tomorrow. Going to enjoy myself. Going to go eat something nice. Hey, it's payday tomorrow. Living right. Living right over here in the ATL. Going to go out and have some dinner with my wife. She doesn't know that. I hope she's not watching yet. Anyway, we'll talk about Texas A&M and Mississippi State. A big game. I'm thinking the biggest game of the season so far. You can say that a lot of times. You can always pretty much say that. Somebody used to say the biggest game we have is the next game. It's the biggest game of the season is the next game that we play, and that's usually true. However, I think Texas A&M this year stands out because I think it's the difference in 8-4 and 9-3. And we'll get into that. We'll talk about it. Greenwood, Mississippi is here. Grace Thacker, good. Glad to have you here, Grace. Point City, Biloxi. Liberty, Mississippi is here. Down in Amite County. Amite County is Amite in Mississippi, but if you cross the line, go 30 miles south in Louisiana, it's Amite. That's true, Amite. I never knew how you did that. Florence, Alabama. Greenville, Mississippi, over there in the Delta, right next to the banks of the Mississippi River. Good to have Greenville. I have never been to Greenville, Mississippi in my entire life. I've just never been over there. I don't know why. I'm sure it's a fine city. I'm sure it's got fine people. Hail State from Meridian. I have been there. Why are y'all laughing so much?
Don't worry about it.
What's so funny?
Nothing. You're good. Continue.
Is it something I'm doing?
No.
Do I have something on my face?
No. You're good.
All right. Just you're all giggly over there. Are y'all laughing because of my strategically placed cowbell in front of the stain on my shirt?
No comment.
Okay. Hail State from Baton Rouge, Geesland's Corner. I don't know what that is. Is that like a store or a restaurant or a town? Stark Vegas is here. Hello, Betty Vickers. Betty found the emoji button on her phone this morning. Thank you, Betty. Beautiful morning in Gulf Breeze, Florida. I would imagine most mornings are beautiful in Gulf Breeze, Florida. I love Gulf Breeze, Florida. From Pensacola to Destin. I always wonder why people go all the way to Destin to have their vacation from Mississippi when Pensacola's right there. You can go ahead and stop. You don't have to drive for 2 more hours in traffic. Anyway, Louisville, Mississippi is here. Winston County's finest. Ken Jernigan, thank you for being here. Byram. Byram always the first to get in here. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how Byram's always first. But then again, he lives in Byram. What else has he got to do? I don't know. I just like A&M very much and hope the Dogs take care of business. A 40-point win would be great, but a 1-point victory would be great too. Listening from Weaverville, North Carolina, Robert E. May. Thank you, Robert May, for listening from Weaverville, North Carolina. I don't know where Weaverville is, but I assume it's in North Carolina. Very smart like that. Hail State from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Welcome, Hattiesburg. Adam Thompson. There's a new name I haven't seen before. Mayhew, Mississippi. Down there checking in from the Pony. So thank you, Ryan Sparks, for taking time out of your busy work schedule at the Pony to talk to us. Jackson, Mississippi, now Lone Oak, Arkansas, farm country. Sounds beautiful. Sounds beautiful up there. On the way to Columbus, Georgia. That's your fault. Niceville, Florida. Okaloosa County, Niceville. Used to live down there for 2 years. I love Niceville like I love my own children. That is a wonderful, wonderful place. The Niceville Eagles. Great high school football program. Also, they wear maroon, just like us. So when the coaches would get shoes and they give them to me, I look like I have Mississippi State shoes. Frisco, Texas. Wandering around Birmingham is Lance Musgrove. Travis Presson is in Jack Daniels country in Tennessee. Zach Powell checking in from Montgomery, Alabama. Well, we got them all over the map this morning. Niceville, Florida, Montgomery, Alabama, Dubai. By the way, KMKE is Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Good to have you in Milwaukee. Brewing up a good time. See what I did there?
That was good.
Yeah, thanks. Seymour, Indiana. Wow. Are you guys for real? Like, are we this nationwide? That's great. I'm excited. No guest today. It's just me. You know what I figured out, Terp? And I'd like to know. Really talk to me on the Facebook Live right now. I want your honest opinions. Do you guys like it better when I have guests on the show, or do you just like it when I just talk? When I just give my opinions, and when I just go off the rails and be goofy, whatever I am? You like guest shows or non-guest shows? Just say you like guest or non-guest. Say that. I'm curious, because they always say in this business, get a guest, you want to have a second voice, but usually they don't have a host as brilliant and as wonderful as me. So I'm just wondering. Depends on the guest. Depends on the guest. I like guests. Depends on the guest. Okay, so I'm guessing it depends on the guest.
That seems to be common.
Seems to be the common theme here. Yeah.
Depends on the guest.
Lance Musgrove wants full-on Shrek. Didn't have to hurt my feelings there, but he chose to anyway. So I respect that, Daniel. I respect that. You sure know more than the LSU guy. Okay. Thomas Loftus likes it when I sing. What should I sing today? The producers are shaking their head because every day before the show I request a song and I always sing it. Yesterday was No Rain by Blind Melon. Wasn't that beautiful?
No, you guys don't want to hear that.
I like the balance you provide as long as you dominate them when they spout their stupidity like the LSU guy. Thank you, Mark West. Appreciate that. Got to get Bump on. Us old Ole Miss. Yeah, us old folks miss Keep It 100. I'd love to have Bumpus on. That's just not reality anymore. You know, he's into college coaching now. Within 3 years, I think Chad Bumpus will be coaching at Mississippi State University. That's just my opinion. So, but as a Buffalo assistant coach, he really can't talk to me and have the fun he used to have. But he's off. He's going to have a great career, Chad Bumpus. Gigi Holmes wants a bedtime story. Well, I looked on the website that I usually use, and I couldn't really find one. I wanted to. I am going to make fun of Ole Miss on this show. Don't worry about that. We got that covered. Delicious. It's good water. All right, Terp, you ready?
Yep.
Hold on. So we're going to go ahead and do the Buster Bones says SEC Country picked Mississippi State over A&M over State. Well, we got a lot of people at SEC Country. I know the Wizard of Odds, our odds maker, our gambling expert, our guy that tells you what to pick. I know that if you listen to his show or watch his show on Facebook Live, SEC Country's Facebook Live at 9 o'clock tonight, he has a lock of the week every week of who to bet on, who to put your money on. And I don't want to spoil anything, but they asked to borrow my cowbell for that lock of the week. That's all I can tell you about that. And thank goodness I have this cowbell produced by Bonnie Williamson Gable, a friend of the show, probably the best friend of the show. Bonnie and Kenny Manning are probably the best two friends of the show. Although Grace Thacker good. I'm a big fan of her too. And Junior. Junior's here every day. And you know what? All of you, okay? All of you. I can't pick one. I do have a list. I have a running list that I keep. It's actually on the wall right over here. If Arkansas beats Ole Miss, you'll have a good bedtime story. I would think so. Okay, let's go, Terp. I'm ready.
The More Cowbell Show, brought to you by SEC Country. And now, your host of the More Cowbell Show, Brandon Walker.
Everything's fine. Everything is fine. Brandon Walker, More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. So excited to be here. Big game this weekend. Huge game this weekend. Mississippi State at Texas A&M. It is huge for Mississippi State, huge for Nick Fitzgerald. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about why I think this is the biggest game of the season, the biggest opportunity for Mississippi State. Have we said it before? Yeah. But the way this season has taken shape, I think this presents a great opportunity. There's a huge difference between 8-4 and 9-3, and that could be decided this weekend. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Fitzgerald. what he brings to the table for Mississippi State, what he brings to the table against Texas A&M. We will talk about Dan Mullen and why, if you look around the SEC at the coaches in this league and the way they act in press conferences, the way they put together sound bites, the way they are meme material, if you look at all of them, we're pretty dang lucky to have Dan Mullen. I'll get to that later. And at the end, we'll make a little fun of Ole Miss. As always, we are coming to you on Facebook Live. We do that every single day. SEC Country's Mississippi State page. We are on Facebook Live. You can join us at 11 a.m. Central Time every day. I have 83 people on there right now. Somebody's checking in from Fort Walton Beach, where I used to live. Fort Walton Beach. I lived in Shalimar, and it was beautiful. Lived right over there on top of the Choctawhatchee Bay. It was wonderful. I wish I could afford to live there, but I can't. So I'm here in Atlanta, where I also cannot afford to live. So excited about that. We will talk about all those things. We're going to have a good time today. Facebook Live, stay right there. Keep talking to me. I'll interact. I'll bring you in when the time comes. But right now, let's go ahead and talk about this weekend, what you're going to do. Well, what some of you might do is put a little money down on the game. You might decide that line, that Mississippi State -2 right now, is pretty attractive, and you might want to bet on Mississippi State. Well, ever since I started this podcast, people have been wondering who I wanted to bet on, who I recommend you bet on. Let me tell you this, where you're betting at is just as important as who you're betting on, so that's why I always tell people to go to mybookie.ag. MyBookie has been in this business for years, and their reputation is rock solid. They do 100% cash bonuses, so off the bat, you're making money for doing nothing. They have the fastest payouts, just 2 business days. They have in-game live betting, the most rewarding player perks in the business, and an all-new mobile site that makes wagering on the go a breeze. Join now, and MyBookie will match your deposit up to 100%. Use the promo code Cowbell, that's Cowbell, my show, to activate your offer. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid. All right, Mississippi State playing this weekend. Hopefully they win. Hopefully they get paid. Actually, not get paid. That's illegal. That'll get you in NCAA trouble. Just ask your neighbors. But Mississippi State going to A&M, and it's probably cliche at this point to say this game or a game is the biggest of the season. It probably even goes without saying, because when you get in the SEC, every game is huge. The Kentucky game was big. The LSU game was big. The Georgia game was big. The Auburn game was big. All present unique opportunities. All present you different chances to shape your season and to take it one way or the other. But given what has happened so far in this season, State 5-2, steamrolling most opponents, LSU, Kentucky, and the rest, getting steamrolled by Auburn and Georgia, given what has happened so far and looking at the rest of the season, you've got an Alabama team who almost assuredly is going undefeated. They'll beat State and Starkville. But outside of that, you're playing the worst Arkansas team in 2 or 3 decades in a couple of weeks. You're playing UMass. You're playing an Ole Miss team that may or may not even show up. You're playing teams down the stretch you should beat outside of Texas A&M, which feels like a true toss-up. This is the biggest game of the season left, unless, of course, State were to beat Alabama. If State were to beat Alabama, that becomes, huge, monumental, program-changing. But right now, you kind of go into that game assuming Dan Mullen's 0-8 against Alabama will turn it 0-9. But he has had success against A&M. He's had a couple of breakthroughs against A&M. A couple of times we have beaten them and kind of fixed things. 2014, Dan Mullen, Dak Prescott, number 12 in the country, I think at the time, beats number 6, Texas A&M, takes them back behind the woodshed, just whips them, moves all the way up to number 3, on the way to number 1. That was a huge step. Last year was even a breakthrough. Last year, State was 2-5. Texas A&M was number 4 in the country. And State, again, just whipped them. I think it was 35-14 before A&M added some late touchdowns, but it was 35-28 final score. So Dan Mullen's offense, Dan Mullen's program has had success against Texas A&M. And I think that is something you can look forward to this weekend. I believe the 2017 version of Mississippi State is better than the 2017 version of Texas A&M. I believe that wholeheartedly. But what makes this such a big game is the difference in what a win would do versus what a loss would do. A win would catapult you back in the top 25, no problem. Probably for the rest of the season. A win would get you back comfortably in the top 3 or 4 of the SEC. I think a win makes you the 4th best team behind Georgia, Auburn, and Alabama. Not in that order, obviously. But a win would put you number 4. I think Mississippi State, if they were to beat Texas A&M, really takes a big step forward in the minds of media members, in the minds of fans, both nationally and regionally. I think that happens. The opportunity is there for a very important road win. Since A&M joined the conference, let's look back. I think 12, they came into our house and won. 13, we went out there and lost. 14, we won. 15, we went out there and lost. 16, we won. So we haven't won in College Station yet. I haven't won in College Station since somebody tweeted out today 1913, which, just really didn't play there very much. That doesn't mean anything. But this is an opportunity for a great, well, not a great win, but definitely a win that breaks you through. Because national people, ESPN, the Dari Nokwas of the world, they still doubt Mississippi State. They think the win over LSU was more about LSU than it was about State. That's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's lazy. It's embarrassing. But that's what they think. That's why they put LSU ahead of Mississippi State in their rankings. That's why South Carolina is ahead of Mississippi State in some rankings. It's all ridiculous. State's better than both of those teams. They're 30 points better than LSU. I know. I've seen it. I watched it with my own eyes. But winning this game would go to 6-2, with really only Alabama standing out as a possible loss going down the stretch. I think this is just a tremendous opportunity, and that's why it's such a big game. Listen, 8-4 would be okay. 8-4 would be fine. 9-3 is just so much better. 9-3 is just really breaking through. 9-3 in advance of next year, which appears to be the stronger year of the two. 9-3 ahead of next year would be incredible. It would give you a chance to win a bowl and get to 10 wins. How many times that happened in school history? Not very many. Not very many at all. And that's all riding on this game right here. That's all riding on going out there and beating a Texas A&M team who hasn't accomplished much, who hasn't really done anything. Now, they've gotten credit for accomplishing stuff. They're number 24 based on, I have no idea, but they've gotten credit. What are their biggest accomplishments? I've talked about it all week. What has impressed people so much? Is it the loss to UCLA when they turned a 44-10 lead into a 1-point loss? Was that impressive? Was it the one-score win over Nicholls State at home? Did that do it? Was it the 7-point overtime win against the worst Arkansas team we've seen since they joined the SEC? Was that it? Was it the 7-point win at home over South Carolina, who couldn't beat Kentucky? Is that it? What is so impressive? I know they lost by 8 to Alabama. I understand that. And that is by far their most impressive accomplishment. And frankly, it is impressive. But it's not enough for A&M to be number 24. And it's not enough for Mississippi State to have to be going out there to get the respect A&M has. It's ridiculous. Looking at this game, Kevin Sumlin will be on the hot seat immediately after this game if State wins. I'm not sure he ever left the hot seat. I think A&M fans have decided they want him gone, and they're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. They're just waiting for anything to happen. They can put him right back on the hot seat. But I look at this game. I got 2 more points about this. We'll move on to Nick Fitzgerald. What are Mississippi State's advantages in this game? What are Mississippi State's advantages over A&M? Well, I think there's several. First of all, Mississippi State has a better coach. Dan Mullen is better than Kevin Sumlin. Mississippi State has a better quarterback. Nick Fitzgerald is better than Kellen Mond. Significantly so. State has the better running game. A&M has a couple nice backs, but they don't run the ball like State does. State's offensive line is better than Texas A&M's offensive line. State's defensive line is better than Texas A&M's defensive line. Texas A&M's defensive line puts up a lot of sacks, but gives up a ton of yards. Almost the opposite of State's defensive line, which hasn't really gotten that many sacks, but doesn't give up any yards, doesn't give up any long drives. State's pass defense, first in the SEC. A&M's pass defense, 12th in the SEC. State's linebackers are better. All of these, you can just look at the numbers. There's no debating this. Where does A&M have the advantage? They have better wide receivers, and they're at home. And home field is significant. Home field is significant. I'm very confident about this game, and I'm well aware. I don't even have to go to Facebook Live. I don't have to reach out on Twitter. I don't have to talk to anybody on the podcast. I'm aware that I'm a Mississippi State fan, and I've been one since I was knee-high to somebody who's not very tall. I know that. I know that confidence is often a mistake. Confidence at this level is often a mistake for Mississippi State. I have been confident many times in my life, only to be crushed. I understand. I'm fine. But I wish we had Chumbawamba right now so we could play I get knocked down, but I get up again, because that's what I feel like. Georgia knocked me down. Auburn knocked me down, but I see no reason State can't go out there and win this game by 10 points. I see no reason State is not the better football team. I see no reason we're not celebrating 6-2 and a return to the top 25 on Sunday. There's a chance I show up here on Monday and I say, well, guys, I was wrong, and we're all depressed. There's also a chance I show up looking like that bulldog with my tongue hanging out smiling. We'll see, but I feel pretty good. I'll tell you who I think the biggest opportunity is. I think Nick Fitzgerald has the biggest opportunity of anybody here. Because after the Georgia-Auburn game, he's kind of righted the ship. He has kind of righted the ship. He was pretty good against BYU. He was really good against Kentucky. He's kind of reclaimed what was his. He's kind of reclaimed being one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. If you look at SEC Country does a weekly quarterback ranking in the SEC. I think Fitzgerald was number 1 this week for the first time this year. You can find that on SECCountry.com. I think Fitzgerald climbed to number 1 because he was really good against Kentucky. He ran the ball for 115 yards, I think, 2 touchdowns, threw the ball well, 18 of 26. He was really, really good. If that Nick Fitzgerald shows up the rest of the season, we're going to be hard to beat. Going to be very hard to beat. He has asserted himself as one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC, and that's after getting humbled at Georgia and Auburn. But the Kentucky game, the LSU game, the BYU game, they show what he is. He is a very, very difficult weapon to account for. And even when you know he's running, here, this is what sets Fitzgerald apart from most running quarterbacks, I think. Most running quarterbacks, they lean on deception. They lean on reading the read option right, getting you going left, and then they go right. Most running quarterbacks do that. Now, Nick Fitzgerald doesn't really do that. He does. They do try it, and it works sometimes. But even if a play is not blocked well, even if the run is not there, you still have to tackle Nick Fitzgerald, and that's a hell of a deal. Somebody said on Six Pack, he looks about as good near the goal line, as passionate, as dedicated, as determined to get in the end zone as anybody we've ever seen run the football. And I think that's true. Fitzgerald is an elite running quarterback. He's not a good running quarterback. He's not an okay running quarterback. He's an elite running quarterback. He is a serviceable passing quarterback. Serviceable. But serviceable might work this weekend because Texas A&M is so dreadful in pass coverage. 12th in the league. Bottom third of the country. But here's the opportunity in front of Nick Fitzgerald. A lot of guys can run the football. A lot of guys can throw the football. A lot of quarterbacks can win at home, can look good at home when everybody's cheering for you and saying how handsome you are and how great you are and everything's great. But what separates quarterbacks is who can go on the road. Who can go into a 100,000-seat stadium like Kyle Field? Who can make 100,000 people shut up with one throw, with one run? Who can take a crowd out of the game? Who can make home field advantage meaningless? Who can do that? If you can do that as a quarterback, you can become a great college quarterback. Fitzgerald's a good college quarterback. Good ones win at home. Great ones win on the road. And that's what Fitzgerald has in front of him. He has to have help. He has to have receivers catch the ball. He has to have running backs get yards when they're asked. He has to have blockers in front of him. But he has to be the unquestioned guy. Nick Fitzgerald has to be the unquestioned guy to go out to Kyle Field, shut those people up, and win this game. And if he does that, he becomes everything State fans hope he is. He becomes everything national media have said he is. And that's his opportunity this weekend. I want to talk about Dan Mullen for a second. You're listening to more Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SECCountry.com. Also on Facebook Live this morning, as we are every single morning. Got my friends from Niceville, Florida, from Kosciuszko, from Ackerman, from Liberty, Mississippi, from Byram. They're all on Facebook Live this morning, watching with us, talking with us. Enjoy it every single day. So if you've never tried it that way, you should try it. But I also like you listening to my podcast because my kids like money. I want to talk about Dan Mullen. I look around the SEC, and let's just be real with each other. Let's be honest. We're all family here, right? I'm Brandon Walker. You're Mississippi State fans. We could all break bread together and eat. We're all family. So let's look around the SEC and really look at this coaching situation. I think of a guy, when I think of the SEC coaches right now, I think of a guy like Butch Jones, who is nothing but a walking cartoon character, who's nothing but a meme, who is nothing but somebody who gets made fun of relentlessly. He has 5-star heart. He has champions of life. He has all of these stupid little sayings that he puts his foot in his mouth all the time. And he's about to get run out of town on a rail. He's a clown. I think of guys like Jim McElwain down there at Florida, who inherits a good situation, who wins at a decent level the first couple of years, and now the cheese is starting to slide off the cracker for Jim McElwain. The other day he's talking to the press and he says, I've gotten death threats because we're 3-3. And then when the university follows up, they say, he doesn't tell them about it. He doesn't, apparently, either they don't exist, he doesn't want to follow it up, but whatever. He stuck his foot in his mouth going to the media about death threats. Instead of going to the proper authorities if they're real, whatever, it's kind of Butch Jones-like behavior from McElwain. I think of guys like Brett Bielema, who's been in the league 5 years now and never won more than 7 games. Can't do anything at Arkansas. Has turned them from a respectable team into maybe the worst team in the league this year. And he's also a walking meme. He's also a cartoon character. He throws his players under the bus. I think of guys like Ed Orgeron just being Ed Orgeron. And how hilarious of a character he is. And how terrible of a coach he is. I think of Gus Malzahn at Auburn. I think of somebody like Gus Malzahn, who has top 3 talent in the SEC, and he goes to LSU with a 20-0 lead and forgets how to coach football, turns 5-star guys into average players all the time. I think of guys like Will Muschamp, who failed at one program and now fell back to another program in the SEC. I think of guys like Matt Luke, who looks like a frustrated third base coach in 8-year-old Little League ball. He looks like he's coaching the Winona All-Stars with the way he comports himself on the sideline. I look at guys like Hugh Freeze that resigned in disgrace, that built a false prophecy, that did all this, that got his school in trouble, that destroyed a football program. And then I look at Dan Mullen. For 9 years, all Dan Mullen has done is successfully and consistently had Mississippi State in the mix. He gets picked to finish 6th or 7th in the SEC West every year, never does that. Never does it. He's gone to number 1. He's gone to the Orange Bowl. He's won 9 games 4 times. He's going to win at least 9 games this year with a bowl. When every team in the SEC, Arkansas, A&M now has a freshman, but LSU, Florida, all of these places looking for quarterbacks, Tennessee looking for quarterbacks, Dan Mullen finds one every single year. Dan Mullen has 2 quarterbacks right now, better than most teams' first guy. Dan Mullen never embarrasses Mississippi State. He's never a meme. He never says 5-star heart. He's never a champion of life. He never talks about death threats in the media that may or may not be true. He never puts Mississippi State in a bad spot like that. Dan Mullen is a professional football coach. A professional football coach who wins at Mississippi State. Yeah, we might not have gotten to the SEC penthouse with him yet. We might not have gotten to the top floor yet because Alabama's sitting there. But he's pretty much taken the key to the basement and thrown it away. He has locked the basement. We don't have to go down the basement of the SEC anymore. That's where Ole Miss lives. That's where Missouri lives. That's where Tennessee is getting into. That's where Arkansas is. That's not where Mississippi State is. And while this rant doesn't have that big of a point, I guess what I'm getting at is we can always nitpick at Mullen. Maybe it's clock management here. Maybe it's special teams there. We can talk about his defensive coordinator changing a lot. We can talk about him not playing this running back or playing that running back, but Dan Mullen will never embarrass Mississippi State, and Dan Mullen will never put Mississippi State at the bottom of the SEC. Dan Mullen, the best thing that has happened to Mississippi State in years, and I just thought somebody should say it out loud. Speaking of saying things out loud, Ole Miss, if you go to their message boards and their Twitter, it is something else. It is something else, something to behold. So if you go to their message boards right now, the big rumor is Mississippi State has gotten a letter of inquiry from the NCAA. State's going to get in trouble. This nefarious plot to bring down Ole Miss didn't work. Leo Lewis did something wrong, didn't in front of the Committee on Infractions hearing. And it's just more and more and more of the stuff that's gone on there for hundreds of years, and certainly the last couple of years. Just look away, look away, look away. The truth is staring you right in the face. The NCAA has the hammer in their hand, and they're walking towards you. And they're about to deliver a blow. It might be a fatal blow. It might not. I don't know. But they're about to deliver a blow. And you're desperately pointing over here, pointing over there, pointing at these rumors, pointing at that rumors. But the hammer's coming regardless. So any rumor you see on message boards about State receiving a letter or State's in trouble with the NCAA and Leo got paid by State, not Ole Miss, you choose to believe whatever rumor you want to believe. Because for 2 or 3 years now, since this investigation started, you have chosen to believe stuff that's been false all along. You chose to believe there was not an investigation. You chose to believe it was all on Houston Nutt. Well, guess what? Houston Nutt got an apology and money because of that belief. You chose to believe that it was all over. You chose to believe that Laramie Tunsil didn't take money. It was an opportunity fund. You chose to believe Hugh Freeze had nothing to do with it. You chose to believe all of these things. And now you have an interim coach, the worst roster in the SEC, one of the worst defenses in SEC history, and all you want to do is talk about Mississippi State is in trouble. Well, guess what? Trouble's almost here, and it ain't coming to Starkville. Whew. That was fun. Man alive. That's all I got for the podcast. I think you guys got your money's worth today. I just blacked out for a second. that got rough. All right. We'll go ahead and drop the podcast audience off. I'll get back to you on Facebook Live in 2 minutes. We'll talk. Podcasters, I'll be back Monday in the wake of a huge win, I hope. But even if it's not, we'll be back to dissect it, and I'll tell you how wrong I was. So until next time, you've been listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. Ooh, I was in the zone today. Did y'all see that? What'd you think about that, Land Shark? Huh? Thumbs up. That felt good. I need to go work out or something. I need a cigarette. I don't even smoke. Never smoked a cigarette in my life. Preaching truth. Thank you, Grace. Where's the Tylenol? Bonnie Williamson says, my best podcast. I've had a good week of podcasts. This has been a good week of shows. I've really enjoyed this week. Really, really had a good week. Does Anthony Dixon work for State? I think just in some sort of consultant capacity. He probably gets money. I don't think he's on full-time payroll, but I don't know. Not a very big fan of Mullen's spread offense. Need to do more under center. Makes our offense one-dimensional. That's not even kind of true. If there's one thing a spread offense doesn't do, it's make an offense one-dimensional. And I don't see how going under center would create a second dimension. I don't agree with you there, respectfully. Scotty Hatcher says they've been wrong about everything. Bunch of elitist losers. Hey, you said it. Not me. You said it. Pass the offering plate. I really should start an offering plate. Burnell McGee down at Liberty, take your hat off and pass it around, would you? Best Taco Bell combo.
There we go.
I like the one that comes with a couple tacos and the nachos Bel Grande. That's what I like. But I don't eat Taco Bell a lot. I've never really liked Taco Bell. I don't know why. I just don't like it. My daughter loves it. So now that she's like 8 and we're getting around a lot, we go there a lot more. Today's episode was fire. Thank you, Jason Neal Galt. Chad Mask says, roll that beautiful land shark footage. What you doing over there? Come on. Let's roll that footage. I love it. I love it. Texas A&M has 28 sacks on the season. 20 of those came against. Oh, you got a lot here. South Carolina, Florida, and Arkansas. All awful teams. All awful teams. State's got a good offensive line. Texas A&M probably will get a couple of sacks this week, but hopefully that'll be negated by the running game. I'll take that heat. The truth just hurts sometimes. It does, Scotty. It does. You'll get truth bombs on this show. We're all about truth. Truthiness. Rob Hadaway's here. Good to see Rob. I'm just kidding. It's always terrible to see Rob. Nobody likes Rob. I like Rob. Where can we get a copy of the four-legged land shark horse thing? What do you want to ride it or something? What do you mean a copy? You want the picture or do you want the actual animal? Because the actual animal will be hilarious. Could you imagine feeding that thing? That'd be expensive. That'd be an expensive animal to take care of right there. And I don't think he would be very friendly. I don't think he'd be friendly at all. How can people listen to your podcast on an iPhone? The SEC Country Player won't work for that. It does. It does. I listen to it on my iPhone every day. I check your settings, Burnell. I know you kind of come at me with this every day. I just check your settings is all I can really say. I will put it on SoundCloud today for you, though. Matt Weisinger, don't talk about Rob's my guy. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with Rob. I like Rob. Never ceases to amaze me how desperate the land sharks get. Cameron Crockett, thank you. What can be applied to more foods, ranch or ketchup? That is a great question. And I want to thank you guys for coming to me with these food questions today because it makes me feel good because I know Bulldog Sports Radio has a food expert who weighs 400 pounds. So coming to me really means a lot. What can go on more foods, ranch or ketchup?
That is a good question.
I think ranch. Okay, because ranch can go on fried foods. Ranch can go on salads. Ranch can go on sandwiches.
Pizza.
Now, ketchup can do a lot. Ranch can go on pizza. Ketchup ain't going on pizza. Ketchup can go on French fries. Ketchup goes on burgers.
Philly cheesesteaks.
What? Wait, hold on. Hold on. No, stop talking. Stop talking. Did you say mac and cheese?
Yeah, people do that. I don't, but I've seen people do that.
Ketchup?
Yeah, it's pretty gross. She just said ketchup on grilled cheese. Producer Landshark said that.
Turn the mic off. Ketchup on mac and cheese. Got a couple of votes for ranch, a couple of votes for ketchup. Who does It's Always Sunny in Starkville? I think that's Justin Strawn over on Bulldog Sports Radio. Try using the Chrome browser, Burnell McGee. Somebody said that. Do you believe we're going to win? How about their D-line? I think State's going to win this game by more than 10 points. Their D-line is good. Their D-line's good, and it's not so good. Gives up a lot of rushing yards, gets a lot of sacks. I think we can scheme our way around that. Is Brian more like earthquake or tugboat? I'd say more like Bastion Booger. More like Bastion Booger. Why do you think MSU has the edge? Well, I think Mississippi State has a better coach, a better quarterback, a better running game, a better offensive line, a better defensive line, better linebackers, better pass defense. A&M has better receivers, a good pass rush, and the home field advantage. But if you write all those down, I think State has more advantages than Texas A&M does. And I think some of those advantages are by a wide margin. I know Texas A&M is 5-2, 6-2, whatever they are, and it's a pretty record, but they haven't done anything. They don't have a win as good as over LSU. They don't have a win as good as Mississippi State over Kentucky. That's just the truth. What is their best win? Over South Carolina that Kentucky beat by 10? What is their best win? You make barbecue with ketchup. Mic drop. Stephen Turner's mom eats scrambled eggs with ketchup. I've always wondered what Stephen Turner's mom ate her scrambled eggs with. So thank you for that. Ketchup on pizza is good. Boy, this ketchup ranch thing is heated.
Debate in the comment section, definitely.
It has caught fire. I gotta tell you, if I sit down, I'm not anti-ketchup. I'm not anti-anything. But if I sit down and ranch is over here and ketchup's over here, I'm reaching over here. I'm reaching for the ranch every time.
Yeah.
You can put ranch on.
80% of the time,
You can put ranch on a baked potato.
Yep.
I mean, ranch can do everything.
That's not everything, but close.
When's the last time you've been in the grocery store, the potato chip aisle, and reached for a bag of ketchup flavored potato chips?
Never.
You haven't.
Never.
But you'll reach for some ranch flavored potato chips.
I've never seen this.
You've never seen ranch flavored potato chips.
No. Those exist? Oh, Cool Ranch. Cool Ranch, I guess I've seen. Doritos.
There's all kind of ranch chips. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't frequent the chip aisle, I guess.
I'm sorry. I have to take a moment. I have to take a moment. Matt Weisinger says, I've always suspected you were a pregnant woman, Brandon. Is that because of my eating habits? Or because of my... Whatever. Is Laramie Tunsil's stepdad suing Rebel Rags? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's countersuing him for libel. So, have fun with that. Drew Newell says, I love ketchup. I put ketchup on my ketchup, but ranch is more versatile. Was Terp in a bubble as a kid? I wish Terp was in a bubble right now.
Nope. I just don't like that much junk food.
Rob Hadaway says, what? Ketchup's not junk food.
He's talking about the chips comment, probably. I'm not in the chips aisle.
Rob Hadaway says, well, what the hell do they teach at Maryland? Bonnie Williamson Gable calls you a damn Yankee.
Go Mets.
He grew up in Atlanta, though, to be fair. He went to Maryland, but he grew up in Atlanta. That's right? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, true. No, don't get me wrong. You can insult him all you want. I'm not trying to take up for him. Boy, oh boy. It is, when did I lose control of this? We were in control just a second ago.
Everyone's just hating on my food.
I was in firm control just a second ago, but I have lost it.
Crab cakes and football, I like that.
Donald Grantham says I'm weird. I'm not weird. I'm from Mississippi. Hill and Gibson going to get more reps? Probably not. I don't think so. Nor should they. I don't think they should. I think Kylan Hill and Nick Gibson are getting the reps they should get. I think the majority of the running game should be Aris Williams and Nick Fitzgerald. I really believe that. I don't know where this fascination with getting Hill and Gibson more reps comes from. You know, if either had ripped off an 80-yard touchdown already, great. That'd be fine. But has either done anything much different than Aris Williams when they run the ball? And the yards per carry average is the same between all three. It's like 6.3, something like that. I think they're both going to be great running backs. I think Kylan Hill is going to be a better running back than Aris Williams by the time he leaves. He's just not now. Is Anthony Dixon on the sidelines every home game? I think he's on the sidelines every game, period. Not just home games. But I could be wrong about that. But I know he's on the sidelines every home game. I'd like to see Hill break one. I get the feeling it's coming, 1 or 2 carries per game, but it never happens. Yeah, so I think he has explosive ability too. He just hasn't exploded yet. I mean, keep giving the guy a couple of carries a game. He deserves it. And I think he's good enough to be a starter in the SEC. But the guy we have at starter doesn't really deserve to come out. So you got to make sense of that. We used the passing game to open the run up against Kentucky. Do you see the same thing happening this week? I do. It's a good point. A&M's passing defense is awful. They're terrible. They give up too many yards. The opportunities will be there. We'll have open receivers. We'll have a chance to use the passing game to open up the running game. You know, a lot of people say always run, never pass, but State's best when they're balanced. State is best when they can throw and run. When Fitzgerald has the threat of throwing the ball, that opens everything up. Auburn and Georgia took everything away, looked bad. But A&M's not going to take anything away. A&M defense is not good enough to take anything away. Somebody says Terp buys organic food.
Definitely not.
Actually, I buy organic food. My wife makes me buy organic everything. It's so expensive. Not that I love my wife. If she wants organic stuff, she's going to get organic stuff. It's just, it's expensive. I don't think Kylan Hill knows the whole offense, so he's limited on some plays. Favorite Bulldog running back of all time? J.J. Johnson for me. Justin Burford says that. That's a good place to start. I like Michael Davis a lot, too. And I like DeCenzo Miller. I might go DeCenzo Miller. Hill and Gibson late in games with a lead to save wear and tear on A-Train. Not a bad idea. Certainly not a bad idea, even a little bit. Kiefer McGee, also a great running back. That's Jay Hammers. Mark West says, I feel your pain. My wife went full organic and I'm dying. Just doesn't taste as good. Doesn't taste as good and it's more expensive. Boy, is it more expensive. My grocery bill, guys. Whew. Man. But, I mean, look at me. Look how successful I am. I can afford it, right? Excellent choice, Justin Burford. Thank you very much. Thank you. What was my choice? Michael Davis? No, DeCenzo Miller. That's right. I also like the 1 year that Josh Robinson was the man. I don't think he's my favorite ever because he kind of flamed out at the end, but that 1 year of Josh Robinson that he was the guy was special. Organic is a word that means I'm paying $7 a gallon for milk. Rob Hadaway bringing the heat. Scotty Hatcher says, I'm loving seeing all the battle bells in the stands. They are way louder. Speaking of bells, everybody look at mine. My bell. Look how beautiful that is. Look how beautiful that is. And look at that. I noticed this yesterday. You see it, the stadium behind there? It wraps all the way around that stadium. Just one big picture of the stadium. And I believe I've studied this at length. I've studied this a lot. I think that's the Auburn game in 2014. That's what I think. Judging by the color in the stands, I think that's it. Can we get some love for Fred Reed on this podcast? Well, Fred Reed played for Mississippi State. I'll give him that. I definitely will give him that. More Cowbell shirts. Anybody out there a T-shirt maker?
I can make something.
Not you. Not you.
Give me some of the profit, though.
Is anybody out there a T-shirt maker? Hit me up on Twitter at bwalker_SEC. Slide up in them DMs. Shoot your shot, and we'll see if we can make a T-shirt.
You're so hip now.
I know, right?
Those are some pretty young terms there.
I know. Hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slide up in the DMs. Shoot your shot. That's all I got. That's all I got. I don't know what else to say.
It's a good start.
Zippity zoppity. Bring on the boppity.
No.
Dink and flicka. I don't know.
Nope.
I don't know. Turp would make a shirt that's Walmart maroon. You wouldn't know. You'd do it in Maryland red, wouldn't you?
Maybe.
Least favorite running back, Dante Walker. I you know what? That whole team went south. I can't blame it all on Dante Walker. I know when he was right, he was pretty good. My brother has a T-shirt shop. Kenny Manning, you always come through. I think Kenny Manning is just like the I don't know, the manager of this show. He's like the distributor of this show. Deep South Pout makes T-shirts. I don't know what Deep South Pout is. That sounds like something that's more expensive than I can afford. Terp wears tie-dyed clothes.
Nope. Don't own anything tie-dye.
You don't own anything, period. You work for me.
No, I don't.
All right, I got to go to lunch. I got to take you out to lunch today, so we're going to have to end early. Let's go about 2 more minutes.
Where are you guys going?
Over to the Cox Cafeteria.
Nice.
Yeah. It's really good. Really good. Love. Did anybody see that joke coming?
I wasn't looking.
I stopped it. Don't worry, I stopped it.
Probably good that you stopped it.
Terp can get a boy's medium.
Would not fit.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm 100% positive.
You're pretty slight.
Still 6'1" and a half. What? That's facts.
Look, the guy I'm taking to lunch is sitting out there waiting to go. Did you see that? He came up to me. Okay. Boy, oh boy. That was fun. Good show. Thank you, Scotty Hatcher, for being here. Hail State, Leon Cefalu. Brian Sisk says medium. Thank you for being here, guys. We'll be back Monday. I'll try to do a pregame and postgame this weekend. I'm going to be I'm very excited about the game. I'm very confident about the game. I know I'm a State fan. I shouldn't be confident as much as I am, but I am. I believe in this team. I believe in this coach. I believe in this quarterback. I think State's going out to College Station and winning by double digits. That's what I think. If I'm wrong, you come on this show Monday and tell me how stupid I am. I'll take it. But if I'm right, it's going to be a whole lot of this. On Monday morning. 31-16 is Jay Hammer's prediction. If our corners dominate, could we shut them down? If our corners dominate, certainly. Certainly we can shut them down. Hail State from Michael Clyburn. That's a good place to end. Thank you guys for being here. You've been watching More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast. I'm Brandon Walker. We'll see you next time.